welcome to the Live Loving live stream with John Davis. Well, hello, my friends, and welcome to another Live Loving live stream here from Akron, Ohio, and the fabulous John of News Studios. One of these days, I'm going to hire Vanna White to come in and do something. I don't know what that'll be. I hope you guys are doing well. I'd like everyone to give a special thank you to our good friend Marcy, who handles the chat board over there. And I wanted to, while I'm talking about Marcy, I want to talk about this Sunday. This Sunday, Marcy is starting off a love wave across the United States. And it's an actual 4-hour event. It's going to be live streamed on her channel, my channel, Dave Johnson's channel, Celtic Tarot Sheila's channel, and Kim Carey's Intuitive View channel as well. We're basically going to take 4 hours just based in the ideas of love and peace. We're going to take questions and we're going to talk to everybody, but we're going to do 4 hours straight right across the country, focusing on creating a loving and peaceful world. I will be leading a meditation at one point, and there'll be several other people possibly will do that as well in the 4 hours. But we're going to create a love wave across the states that will affect the whole world. So if you want to join us, you want to go over to Marcy's channel, which is Spirit Made Me Do It. If you look over in the chat board, you'll see Spirit Made Me Do It. If you click on her name, you'll find her channel. Subscribe and join us there. And then we will, you'll see, it'll start with Marcy and I for the first hour. It'll transition Dave Johnson in from Australia, better known as Moonride or Moonride Pyramid. And then an hour later, Celtic Tarot Sheila will come in, and then the last hour, Kim Carey will come in. And that event's happening this Sunday. So I want to make sure you get that. It's been a very, very, very busy week this week for me. Been doing a lot of things, helping friends with their things and other things. But because of all that hectic week, I took the week and I really kind of slacked on responding to comments and things. And I know I'm way behind on that, so I need to sit down and do that this weekend sometime. Catch up on all the comments and everything, because I haven't been as diligent as usually I am. So we say, but when I don't respond to a comment or something, please don't take offense to it. Sometimes I get hundreds and hundreds of comments a day, and I definitely get hundreds and hundreds of emails a day. And I had someone today who was offended that I hadn't responded to them, and actually had created a story that I didn't like her for some reason. That is never the case. I never ever think those things. So I'm just a very busy man. So and that's just the way it is. Before we dive into your questions and comments, I wanted to share the story that I read today on the goodnewsnetwork.org about this young man. What I'm going to show you this young man's picture, and then I'm going to very quickly read a little blurb about it, what he's done, because I think it's a beautiful story. So let me show you what this guy looks like. That's the young man right there. Okay, so let me read this real quick. His name is Sebbie Hall, Sebbie. He was 17 years old when he decided to dedicate his life to helping others. It took only 3 years for the nation to recognize him as a hero, as the UK's kindest person. He works tirelessly to help others and has founded his own charity to encourage others to follow his lead, the Sebbie Hall Kindness Foundation, which helps vulnerable youngsters. During his 3 years of good work, he donated 400 coats and blankets to homeless charities, gifted 800 toys to children's homes, and even used his own pocket money during his teens to pay for strangers' coffees. God bless him for that one. Now 20 years old, the kind hero from Litchfield, who was born with rare chromosome anomaly, initially started spreading kindness during lockdown after discovering his classmates didn't have access to a computer. His first thought was to donate his own device, but conscious this wouldn't help all his pals, he raised the money to buy a laptop each by carrying out acts of kindness like washing cars. Following a search for UK's kindest people, the Kind Snacks organization crowned him UK's 2023 Kind Hero and honored him with a statue near Tower Bridge in London, alongside the likes of Captain Cook, Winston Churchill, and Joe Newby, the Kind Snacks 2022 hero, who fostered over 92 children in her time as a foster mom. So I just wanted to show this guy off because this guy's truly living a loving life, and I wanted to make sure that stories like that get seen. So I want to make sure that stories like that get seen, and it's important to see that people are out there spreading love easily and moving and moving forward and sending love and spreading love and helping others. So being kind. Let me jump over here to this chat board to see what I missed while that was going on. Bonnie, whatever the joke was, you didn't offend, because I remember laughing, and I don't get offended. I do not get offended easy. I promise you that. I promise you that. Let's see. Yeah, great kid. I didn't offend. Cherlan, let's talk. Let me pull this one up. How can I get my dimension-ridden narcissistic mother to get her soul's house in order? First of all, there's a lot in this comment that you just made. I'm not understanding 100% what you're talking about. The soul's house, right? We don't have to. You know, your mom is in dementia. Dementia is slow transition to death. It's the slow crossing over. They're slowly passing away. When narcissism is the fear of not being loved run amok. So your mother has lived a very tough life and is now fading away from this life. She doesn't need to get her soul's house in order to cross over. You know, over there is pure unconditional love. Here's where the conditions are. So it's a matter of she doesn't need to change anything. And if she has dementia, she's not going to change anyway. The question is your love for her conditional? Because if you feel that you need to say that she needs to change to go to heaven, that's actually a judgment. That's actually a condition you're putting on your love for her. The question is, can you love her exactly as she is and be completely 100% unconditional about it? When she crosses over, finally, she's going to end up in a place that is pure loving and completely understanding, and she'll have a complete awareness of everything she's done in life and how it affected everybody around her. Question is, can you let it go? And because that really is, this question is really not about her as much as it is about your situation. So I would guess I would sit back and just take a look at that. And that's not a judgment. That's just an assessment from what your words say. Get her soul's house in order. That means you want her to be a certain way that you believe she should be, and that's the condition. So I guess that's something to look at for yourself. Let me jump in. Gosh, hello for all you first timers. I'm glad to see you guys here. That's just a good one. Hi, Bonnie. What did Joshua mean by "get behind me, Satan"? First of all, this is a very interesting comment because Satan, Satanus, means two things. It means the accuser, or it means temptation. In ancient Hebrew, it was the accuser. It does not mean a devil figure. It literally means temptations or accusations, right? So when you look at this, people are tempting him to do other things. You know, get behind me, get behind what I'm doing. In other words, you know, be with me instead of trying to tempt me into something else or accuse me of not being like you. So what he's saying has nothing to do with a devil figure. It has everything to do with, you know, I'm not living the way you're wanting me to, and get behind me because this has worked. This is you are divine. Ye are the children of God. Ye are gods. And what he was basically really saying was, stop all this other stuff and come get behind what I'm doing because it works. So I hope that answers your question, Bonnie. Moving on. Hello there, Tulip Petal. What a great name. Marcy's group wave is I'm so excited for it. It's going to be so much fun. How can I not be afraid with other people and show love to them? First of all, you have to exhale, my dear. I don't know if you're male or female. I don't really care. You're still my dear. First of all, you have to exhale. Because when you're in fear, you're holding air in your body. It's the primal response to fear. You hold air in. Every parent in the world saw their children fall and went and gasped for air because they were filling their lungs out of fear so that they'd have a reserve to run fast. The first thing you do is exhale. And take a small risk. Take a small risk at trusting. Because trust is developed by results over time. Start doing small gestures. And as you start to see results from them, your faith will grow. You'll be more and more trusting, more and more loving. I mean, I laugh with every person who comes to my door, every person I see in the convenience store, because I just assume everyone's good. And when you assume they're good, they feel that you think that way, and they respond that way. And so, first of all, you exhale. Let go of your fear first. And that's the way you do it. I hope that answers your question. It seems so simple, but it's true. Hello, Wild Irish Rose. Sarah, happy birthday, Sarah. This is your birthday song. It isn't very long. Anyway. What are my thoughts on the Gnostic Gospel of Thomas? I actually did a whole video on the Gnostic Gospel of Thomas over on the Recovering Catholic channel. You really get me. I go line by line and talk about it. I think all ancient texts. First of all, I think all ancient texts are written by people who they're not actually ascribed to. Because all of the apostles and all the teachings that were happening when Joshua was alive was all oral tradition, and the earliest texts are written after that was all done. In fact, the oldest book in the New Testament is attributed to over 50 years after the crucifixion. So when I look at the Gnostic text, I see a lot of interesting truths, but I also see mixed in a lot of messianic stuff that Joshua never taught. So I think that I find the Gospel of Thomas very interesting. But if you really want to get an in-depth view of what I think of it, over on the Recovering Catholic channel, you'll find the whole thing I did on the Gospel of Thomas. Cynthia, welcome for the first time. Moving on, I already answered that one. Rebecca, glad you're here as well. Hello, Maria. Going down, see what other questions we have. Well, you guys are typing quick today. Do I believe Joshua learned meditation in India? I believe Joshua was definitely in India. Although John had no memory of that, because, in fact, when in my regression, when I met that guy, I believed he was coming back from somewhere, and when came back, and there was like this, he became famous on his way home. So that's kind of where I picked his story up. I don't know if he learned meditation there, but I'm sure he studied lots of things all over the place. But the interesting thing is, no matter what he studied in India, his lessons were broken down to far simpler than any dogma, any ritual, any technique, any method or modality. It's more about being and feeling in the present moment, and coming back to that place of being not only present but fearless, because that is really the key to all transcendental experience, being completely present, completely fearless. So yeah, I don't know if you learned it in Hindi or not. Anybody want to answer this for me? No matter what I do, no matter what I try, I can't seem to make a connection with my higher self. What am I doing wrong? No matter what I do or what I try. So this is a self-defeating statement. No matter what I do or what I try. And you're actually ending that part with the word try, which means you're taking your present moment and you're trying. You're not taking it in, you're not receiving it, you're not doing it. I am making my higher connection. Now, first of all, you obviously have a definition of what that higher self connection is. You have a concept, right? What if that concept was different? Not wrong. You also end this with, what am I doing wrong? The only thing that, as I just said just a moment ago, all transcendental experience is present moment and fearless. But when I say present moment, I mean what you believe about this present moment. If you believe you're trying, you're going to get a really good try. If you believe you're wanting, you're going to get a very good want. If you're believing you're needing, you're going to get a very good need. I am receiving, I am creating, I am enjoying, I am happily connecting with my higher self is a very different present moment fearless belief. And so when you come to that space and realize, you'll start to see the results of it. Now, I will tell you this, God is found at the bottom of every breath. When you exhale, you come back to that feeling of just complete relaxation. Relax every muscle. I oftentimes I'll tell people to exhale and they'll go, and they'll keep their body tense. When I say exhale, what I mean is full body relaxation. And the goosebumps rise on the arm. Because right at the bottom of the breath is that feeling. And that feeling is the connection to God. And when you come back to that feeling, come back to that connection to God, then you're in a clear channel. You're in the clear waters of the heavenly mind. Just by sitting in the clear waters of the heavenly mind, the information comes to you. For every private session I do, an hour before I sit down, I write their name on a blank sheet of paper, and I swim in the heavenly mind. And when I swim in the heavenly mind, I just start writing whatever words come to the surface. And by the time I'm done, I'm doing a page or two, right? And that's the connection to your higher self, right? The interesting is, most people think of this higher self concept as this big evolution, right? In reality, enlightenment means set everything down and come back to where you're lighter. Set everything aside and just come back to that present moment experience. They don't call it the breath of God for no reason. Because God is in every breath you will ever take. You exhale, He's right there. And focus on the feeling. Because that feeling is the language of God. And we have to respond. If we respond to God in the feeling of I can't, or I'm frustrated, I'm trying, I'm doing something wrong, we're actually asking God for those things. So you don't feel like you're doing things right. Instead of going, well, okay, I am doing it right. I am connecting. I am easily having this experience. But it always comes back to your present moment belief. If you don't believe it, you can't achieve it, right? Shakespeare said, words without thoughts never to heaven go. When you pray, believe you shall receive, and you shall. It comes down to the belief. You have to believe it's happening as opposed to believe you're trying. And specifically, you have to believe it's happening in the present moment. Whatever you ask in God's name is granted. Moses said God's name was I am, not I was or I will be. It's a matter of being the moment. Gandhi said you must be the change you want to see in the world. And so you have to be it. You have to be in that moment. Swim in the heavenly mind, right? I love that new phrase. That's a new one tonight. So I hope you guys enjoy that. I hope that answers your question too, Teresa. Let's see. Hello, Don. Welcome, welcome. Yeah. Please put questions in all caps, like Marcy has said. It makes it much easier for me to find them in the comments section as we go. um, can you express what we talked about earlier so I can share this with my very loving, compassionate dad? Earlier we were talking about, if you guys missed it, the very first comments on this entire thread. If you scroll up, you can catch it. Brent's father's has lost a lot of people, and he's coming to the end of his life. And they told him, what was it? They said that it's hard to get into heaven, and Brent was saying, he says, no, you're all going to go there. We all go there, right? And his father has a very set belief, and that's okay. He in my father's house there are many mansions, right? But God is love, and God is compassion, and being someone who has literally experienced that pure love on several occasions now, which I'm so blessed. I can't imagine what my life would be if I had not experienced those things. I know that when I leave this world, I'm going to a place of pure love that is beyond words. And I know that every person who leaves here, no matter what they've done in life, is going to experience that pure, unconditional love on the other side. I know that. I've experienced it. And I know that when you cross over, you leave behind the weights of fear, the weights of anxiety, the weights of responsibility. You leave behind the things that hold you down and make you heavy and make you feel like you're anchored. You feel like you can fly. And when you cross over, if God is love, he's not going to judge you, because love doesn't judge. Love is unconditional. And that's really the key to this, is to understand that when we cross over, it's all going to be great. But while we're here, if we can consciously bring love into the world, we are doing exactly what this man behind me said. Bring the kingdom of heaven to earth. Bring it here. Be love here, because God is love, and that is the kingdom of heaven. Bring it to earth. Bring it here. Go live loving. Spread the word. Love one another, no matter who or what they look like, no matter what their gender is, no matter what their sexual orientation is, no matter what their color is, no matter if they have hair or not. Love them anyway, right? And if when someone comes along who's not loving you, they're missing the mark. They're missing the mark, and that's the definition. That's the Greek translation of the word sin, right? Not being loving is missing the mark. So don't miss the mark. Keep practicing until you're always on target, so you don't miss the mark. So I don't know what else I can say to your father. He is a man of his own convictions, so he's going to make his own choices. Just love him. Just love him, and be the love that he can rely on as always being consistent and unconditional. That's all you can do. Hope that answers your question there, Brent. Olivia, did Jesus have curly hair? You can't see it really well in the painting, but his hair was like a wiry kind of hair, and it comes into almost locks at the bottom. When you see the painting up close, you can see the bottom end of this is all locks, and there's a reddish tint down at the bottom. That was from sun bleaching. His hair was very, very, very dark, and this was sun bleaching from walking outside, not having a hat on. The bottoms of his hair was bleaching out into this reddish tone. But his hair was very curly, very wiry, and had locks, like real locks. So I just wanted to share. He didn't look like the European paintings you always see. Moving on. Let's see. What are your thoughts on prayers and prayers heard? Would you say that more people pray for someone and send them good thoughts, see them in their whole in their mind, the more likely the prayer's answered? Um, I think where two or more are gathered, there is more power. There is more thought behind it. Absolutely. That's intention. That's the intention of healing. I don't think any healing will happen until the person themselves accepts it, or believes it's happening. But I think the more people who intend, the more likely they are to hear that. Now, on another video I did about speaking through the higher self and healing through the higher self, when people are putting intention out, then they're actually putting it into the higher self and into the higher self mind, and so the message is coming through. But the question is, are you praying like a church prayer would be, where you consistently beg for something to happen, or are your prayers belief statements that it is happening? Because when you pray, believe you shall receive and you shall. If you don't believe it, it doesn't happen. So when people are praying for someone, they should be praying for, thank you for the perfect health they are receiving. But once again, you have to understand, every one of us has free will. And that person who is receiving the healing has to believe in the healing for it to take place. So do I think sending out positive intentions works? Yeah, we've done it several times on these live streams. And Marcy's Love Wave this coming Sunday is nothing but a 4-hour positive intention, right? So do I believe it's helpful? Sure, absolutely. But I think that if you can get the person involved and let them know that this is happening and these prayers are coming for their perfect health, focusing on perfect health and not to get better, focus on the positive outcome, be the change you want to see in the world. Focus on the outcome being complete. And that's the way to pray, is to focus on the completion, the positive outcome. Moving on. Yep, I definitely said his hair was curly. So right there, Patty says send some positive intention to Sunbury, PA. They're having bomb threats. Sure. So if everyone since there's so many people on here and we all have different ways of sending intention, let's just take a couple moments and send some positive intentions. Now, well, if we keep getting people asking for positive intentions, we may eventually create a time at the beginning or the end to do them all at once. So let's just take a few moments here and send to Sunbury, PA. Bomb threats are typically, for the most part, they're usually innocuous. They're usually people trying to get out of work or trying to get out of something or trying to scare people. But there's very rare there are bomb threats unless they found bombs. I know nothing about the situation, so let's just send, in your own way, positive intentions to Sunbury, PA. Okay, I'm gonna move on. Hello, Georgia. Yo, Brooklyn in the house. Welcome, 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 my good friend. I hope you're doing well tonight. You're rewinding to the start, crafty one. Yeah, I like when a lot of new people show up. It's always very good. Sue says, I've always believed love is the absence of negativity. What are your thoughts on this? I disagree. I think love is our complete nature. Negativity itself is just fear run amok. and fear is the illusion of the absence of love, but love is always present. Um, Negativity is always based in a fear. Mad, sad, frustrated, angry, anxious, all based in fear. They're all rooted in fear of some kind. And um, love is our nature. It's our baseline. And that thing I was saying earlier about exhale. When you exhale, you find love because God is love and God is at the bottom of every breath. So our very nature is that space. Negativity is just the illusion of its lack. Um, so I think exactly opposite of what you're saying. Because your statement actually says negativity is the absence of negativity, and it actually implies that negativity is our baseline. Um, Try Dark is here. I'm sorry you can't tell from the painting, Olivia. If you saw it up close, you would see it. Moving on. Coming down the line. Already sent love and light to Sunbury. As you guys type them in, it moves my my list of comments, so I have to scroll past where I was before. Create love, welcome, welcome. Jumping down. I have no idea who Daskalos is. Sounds very Greek to me. Um, I I performed at that festival one year. Here's my suggestion, Deborah. When you go to the Renaissance Festival, prepare to laugh, prepare to be amazed, prepare to have fun, because that's all it is. It's a big, fun, Monty Python esque kind of all inclusive experience. You'll have a great time. And beautiful arts and crafts. Lots of beautiful arts and crafts and music. Just have a great time. Amanda, this is if you go over to my other channel, a Recovering Catholic channel, there's a whole video called How to Live a Happy Life as an Empath. It has a lot to do with recognizing what's yours and what's theirs, and saying that's theirs, not mine. But you go over there, you'll see a whole video on that topic. Um, Actually, this is a question that I've been waiting for someone to ask. Did Jeshua believe in the concept of the divine feminine as an aspect of God? Um, Jeshua believed in 100% equality and oneness with God. Um, the concept of the divine feminine is a fairly New Age dogma, although in early Gnostic texts they talk about the Barbello, the female um, concubine of God, pretty much, or not concubine, but maid of God. Concubine was the completely wrong word. Please don't take offense to that word. It was an accident. Um, Barbella but the concept of divine masculine, divine feminine, that's a completely New Age dogma. And there is no delineation in God or in Jeshua's teachings. That's why when he met the Samaritan woman at the well, he had no problem walking up and talking to a woman, and a woman who was a Samaritan, not of the Jewish faith. And so everything about him talking to her was wrong, but he didn't see her as anything other than another person. And so I think that too often we end up getting too trapped in camps, masculine, feminine, man, woman, white, black, gay, straight. I think once you start delineating out into divisions like that, you're just creating boundaries for that block us from equality. Because, and I can't tell you how many people have come to me and really pushed me to go one way or another. But for me, everyone's equal, and this concept of divine this or divine that. We're all divine because we're all one with God. Everything's divine, and there is no other need for that. So, to me, I just wish that people would stop drawing lines and start being one. Because when we stop drawing lines and start being one, then we change the world, and we understand that the world is more beautiful than any line we could ever draw. Um, that's my thought on that. I hope that answers your question. Um, Jumping down. The higher self thing that's being talked about in the comments board. In Christianity, there's the Trinity. There's the quote unquote Father, Son, the Holy Spirit. Once again, no gender in God. God consciousness, physical world consciousness, the perfect self consciousness which sits in between, which is us. This is who we are. We are our higher self. We are our Holy Spirit. We are our soul. When we're experiencing the physical, we have a veil that stops us from seeing our divinity. And we come down here, we get stuck in our fears and anxieties and all of these hurricane of things going around us. But we are bigger than this. When we connect to our quote unquote higher self, we're just setting our fears aside. I said earlier, come get very present and very fearless. You get very present, you get very fearless, you're in direct connection with your higher self. Because when we're here in the physical, we're always reacting to some past experience, and we're always focusing on something ahead of us, and we usually focus on it negatively. That we have to make sure this doesn't happen or that doesn't happen. We're focused on a negative outcome as opposed to a positive, usually. And the higher self, the Holy Spirit, the soul, all same thing, is us without those fears and anxieties, without that feeling of separation. It's completely present. And so the reality of it is, as Buddha said, the secret to enlightenment is the eradication of fear. Exhale, get rid of all your fears, come down to that base. That's what all meditation has, breathing in it somewhere, right? Come back to that space and be in that space and that feeling of that oneness with God. And that is your higher self. That's who you are. At your core. I just wanted to throw that out there. Susan, we're so glad you're here as well. Please don't forget to put your questions in all caps. It makes it much easier for me because you guys are fast typers. How would you say the world 2,000 years is like now as you imagine it to be through historians, media, compared to our experience? It's written kind of strange, but how does today's world compare to 2,000 years ago? Now, imagine going and living with the Taliban without any of their guns. That's kind of what the world was like. Women were subjugated. Religion was dictating how you had to live. And then on top of that, you had a military army over top of you trying to suppress what you believed. So it was a really terrible, horrible place to live. It wasn't the beautiful walking in the countryside stuff. It was a tough place to live. And it was, so I often say, think of it how it is in Afghanistan. And when I was doing my USO shows, I had to come to the realization that the mindset of the area was medieval. There was a night that I was performing in Kandahar. I was the big military base in Kandahar, the one where at the end of the war, they were always showing the Kandahar Air Base, that exact base. And we were there and we were performing. And every show that we did, someone would come and they would offer us, they would give us gifts. They would give us hats with our names on it, or plaques of appreciation. And I have stuff over here on my shelf over here from that. And this one is always the commander who would do it. That night, the commander didn't show up. Instead, his assistant showed up. She says the commander really wanted to be here to give you this, but he had to go to the warlord's house. I'm like, well, what's going on? And she said, well, don't tell anybody, but. So, of course, I'm going to tell you. She says, one of the locals, she says, we got all our labor force on the base through a contract with the local warlord. And one of the laborers was in the PX today, and he shoplifted, and they caught him. And the commander's at the warlord's house trying to convince the warlord not to skin the man alive. And that's not hyperbole. That's what the commander was doing. He was there to stop that from happening. It's a dangerous part of the world, right? And that's how it was 2,000 years ago. It was a dangerous part of the world, dangerous place to be. And here comes this beautiful man talking about peace and love and how everyone's equal and you wonder why he ended up on a cross, right? Because the people who didn't want to hear those kind of things have that the people in the world were empowered was taking power away from the people who were ruling and taking over power. So that's I'm sorry to bring that down to such a harsh place, but that's the reality of the world. Well, thank you, Teresa, for your kind words. Moving on. Right. Well, this is just beautiful. Every morning I go outside, pray, breathe, express gratitude, and bless my family, friends, clients. Feels nice to start today with a moment to breathe. Beautiful. And take that moment to breathe all day long. Just give yourself breathing breaks. If you smoke, put the cigarette down. Take a breathing break instead. I did a whole video on this on the channel. The NDEs to go to hell. When we transition into the other side, we transition through our beliefs. So, for example, a Christian might see Jesus, a Hindu might see Shiva, a Buddhist might see a Buddha figure. When we transition through our physical world beliefs. If you believe in a hell and you believe you've done bad things, there are people who come back repenting because they saw hell, because as they transition through their beliefs, that's what they saw. And it really comes down to realizing that what you think you become, you create your world, just like the Buddha said, and you are the culmination of your thoughts, just like the Bhagavad Gita says, and as a man thinketh, so is he, just like the Bible says. It's a universal truth that our thoughts are creative, but when we transition from the body, we still are transitioning out of our thoughts, out of our beliefs. And so we transition through our beliefs back to the core base, which has no belief, which is why the Bible says you must become as a child to enter the kingdom of heaven. A child has no belief. So you transition from the beliefs of the world down back to being that pure, clean slate of love. And that's what happens in transition. So the people who see hell believe in hell. And I love this. I love this one, Sarah. Agnostic. So there's many different concepts of agnosticism, but I love the agnostic. And I would probably, in many ways, I would say I'm closer to agnostic than Christian, because most agnostics believe there's some larger figure or some bigger intelligence, but they just aren't defining what it is. They believe in something more. They just don't claim to know what it is or put a label on it or create a structure around it. And to me, I think it's unlabelable and unstructurable. So I kind of lean more towards an agnostic sort of idea. Um, but I've heard multiple definitions of agnostic. So um, for me, I don't lean into any religion. People ask me, they assume I'm a Christian. I'm not, um, and neither was he, by the way. So moving on. Quick answer to this one: no, there's not lost souls. When we leave this physical world, we go back to the other side. Um, and so when we cross over, we cross over. And they are more aware of what's going on here than when we ever will know over there. They are completely aware of what's going on in the world. So um, that's my thought on that. Um, uh, do you think believers need to be real careful about who they associate with in their life? That would depend on what your definition of the word believers is. Are you saying believers in Jesus? Because that would be against what he taught, right? Because he didn't want anyone believing in him. He didn't think he was a Messiah, a Savior, or a Christ. He thought he was a man who found his divinity. Um, I think that if you're truly living a loving life and you're surrounded by negative people, then you need to figure out why they're in your life, because you're either giving something to them that they want and desire, or you're in resonance with them. I think it all comes down to you making those decisions. I hope that answers your question there. I love those eyes back there too. um, I don't know whether Jewish men still wear curly locks. I think so. I think they do. Um, um, so, hey John, love your energy and have a question about your thoughts on reincarnation in this regard. If we can't remember our past lives, how are we supposed to keep growing if we can't remember previous lives? We are not here to learn lessons. We're here to have experiences. The concept of growing through past lives is um, Buddhist and Hindu. They both believe that. Um, I personally don't know what reincarnation is, even though I've had this amazing experience and have these very profound memories. I've met other people who believe they're John. I've met over 30 people who believe they're Mary Magdalene. I've met Peter's. I've met Paul's. I've met Philip's, Judas's. I've met a couple people who think they're Jesus. I would be a complete hypocrite to say they're wrong. You know, you're not. I'm telling my story. And I'm not going to believe yours. That's just ridiculous of me to think that way. So I don't know what reincarnation is, and I don't really think it matters who anybody was or anybody will be in the future. I think it only matters who you are now. And I think that in our lives, we may have these experiences. For all I know, I may just be tapping into the oneness of God and tapping into memories that are there for all of us to tap into. But for me, it really does always and will always come back to be here now, be here in this moment. Past lives don't matter. They don't. And I'll be the first one. What's really interesting about that is that's why I left spiritual work years ago. People were too invested in my past life. They weren't hearing what I was teaching. So I left for 10 years. I went into the corporate world and just shared what I was teaching with a different vocabulary. It's only been 2 years that I've been back out and open about my past life story. And it was I asked my own. I sat down in my own channel writing. Is this the time to come back out? And I was basically told it was. And wow, it's been an amazing 2 years. um, but yeah, I don't think there's any reason to even think that you're here in a school trying to learn something. And that's just not truth in my mind for me. Anybody else might think differently, but that's definitely not for me. Um, Lynn, you're quite welcome. I love your last name, Lynn Davis. Mm. Oh, thank you for your super chats, guys. They are what keeps that roof right above my head. So I appreciate you uh, doing that. Uh, my partner's in skilled nursing, and I want positive intentions to let her know I care and want to help. Have you just said I care and I want to help? That's all you got to do. Sometimes just saying it is enough. What can I ask them? What can I do to help? How can I help you? I admire what you do. I respect what you do. I think you're doing great, and I want to let you know that I know. We all need to hear that sometimes. All of us should open our mouths and tell the people around us that they're doing good things and give positive intentions. That's living love. Tell them. Keep going on. Is it just me, or are there multiple like repeats of comments like over and over again? I'm seeing them like on my feed and in my software here. But I'm not falling for that. These questions are yours. I'm pretty good with my questions. I'm good. It's funny though. uh, Hello, Lisa Wyatt. Welcome for the first time here. It's a pleasure to see you. Thank you for coming. Uh, Olivia, you asked the question, how tall is he? I'm assuming you're talking about Joshua. I know he was shorter than John. I don't necessarily have a height that I could say. Um, uh, Robin Hood, welcome. Love that. Many years ago, just off topic, I was directing a medieval fair, and I wrote a full day with a very good friend of mine, very talented musician, wrote a musical narrative of the story of Robin Hood called The Ballad of Robin Hood. And it was amazing because there was this troubadour who would sing in and out of all the scenes, and it was just amazing. And the guy who wrote the music was just stunning music, really beautiful stuff. Georgia, thank you for the super sticker. That is so helpful. Um, Pair character riding a fire. Oh, what's funny is when I look at the comments over here, instead of seeing the stickers, I see a description of the sticker. So it says super sticker from Georgia. Pair character riding a firework rocket disappearing away before bursting in the sky. And I tried to figure out what Georgia was trying to tell me. That's just funny. Patty Swimler is in the house. My sister has made it this evening. Everyone be good. Yeah, we're coming down to the end here soon, guys. So I'm going to try to zip down to the bottom here and see if I can find what's my favorite album. You just dated yourself with the word album. When I was a kid, it was Foreigner, but I'm a big Harry Chapin fan. And for instrumental music, a man named John Renbourn with Renaissance music. But for just fun music, this is going to sound ridiculous. It's a group called the Minstrels of Mayhem. They're no longer together. They did Renaissance festivals. I just thoroughly enjoy listening to them. They're very good. Barbara, if you're asking me to go deeper, I have no idea what you're asking me to go deeper on. But we are, like I said, we're about to wind down here. How can I get over my fear of calling my mom? It's been a couple of years. I feel like not reconciling whether it's slowing my physical healing process. So this is your fear, your anxiety, and it all comes from the fear of not being loved. And you have to let go of love coming back from her. And just let her know you love her no matter what. No matter what she does or says, I will always love you. I told that story a long time ago. The woman came to me and said she was ending the relationship with her mother. And I said, before you end the relationship, the next time you're with your mom, you guys start butting heads, I want you to stop. I want you to exhale, let go of your fear. And you say, Mom, no matter what you do or say, I'll always love you. Well, the next time they were together and they started to butt heads, she did exactly that. And what happened? Her mom broke down crying, said, I love you too, and they've had the greatest relationship ever since. Both of you want to be unconditionally loved, but no one's giving it first. So be the first to give it so she can feel it. Because that's the fear she has of not having love, not being loved. And so that just be unconditional in your love, no matter what she says or does. Just love her for who she is. And I don't know how old your mom is, but quite likely she's older, right? Is she going to change? Maybe. But she only changes if you give her what she's not afraid of not having. And most parents treat their adult children like children, and until you say something like that, they will always treat you as a child. Get down to the bottom. What do I think about fasting? I don't think you need to do it for spiritual anything. I don't think any of those methods matter. I personally do a 40-day fast every year, not because of spirituality, because I want to give my body a rest. The month of March into April, I do that. It just seems to be the perfect time of the year. And if you go on my channel and go to my playlist, you'll see my fasting playlist where I talk about it. I've discussed this on multiple occasions. I think if people want to do that, that's fine. Psychedelics, but I think it's completely unnecessary, and I think in most cases detrimental, because people think they need the psychedelics, and so it becomes an addictive behavior. They aren't empowering themselves. They're saying, I need psychedelics to have a spiritual experience. I've had every spiritual experience that every psychedelic user has had. I've never done a single drug in my life, and I don't even drink alcohol. And so the reason they're going to psychedelics is because they don't believe in themselves. They don't believe they can. But if that's your path and that's what you want to do, that's more to you. That's fine. I'm not going to judge your path. They don't need it, and you don't need it. What you need is to set everything down, is to exhale, come back to that place, and make declarations. And the more clear you are, then you know. For instance, for me, I know that it wasn't the drugs because I've never done them, right? Richard Pryor talking to Jim Carrey outside the Comedy Store in L.A. Jim Carrey hands him a joint. Richard Pryor says, you be careful with this. Jim Carrey laughs. He says, it's just a joint. He says, yeah, but I don't know if the cocaine's funny or I am. And that's what happens with people with psychedelics. They don't know whether it was the psychedelics. And they say, yeah, I have to take a psilocybin to get this experience. No, you don't. I've had all your experiences. I've done astral travel. You don't need it. That's my opinion. In being an empath and just plain moody or cranky at times, does it help to ask God to clear or de-energize the energy field? What is it? What is it exactly? How is it done? No, God is not an external God. You and God are one. What you are is what is being expressed into the world. As an empath, there's a whole video on my other channel called How to Be Happy as an Empath. It literally is about you recognizing what's not yours and saying that's theirs, not mine. Start delineating it so your mind can recognize what's theirs and not yours. There's no bad energy in your field or any of that. That's all New Age stuff. It's literally I do have helped people heal, and people say, how did you cleanse yourself after that? I said, I don't, because I don't believe anything sticks. And that's exactly it. There's nothing that sticks. It's just you coming to the space of realizing that's theirs, not mine. So that's my thought on that. I hope that answers your question. I talked about fasting already. I've never spoken to Wendy Rose Williams. I know multiple people who believe they were Mary Magdalene. I know a couple people who believe they channel Mary Magdalene. I have not found one yet who agrees with my story. Yeah. So I just answered the energy field question. Okay. I'm going to jump down to the bottom because I'm way behind here. Okay. So, guys, I'm about to wind up here. I hope you guys had a good night tonight. Well, Georgia, you asked the most important question of the evening. When am I getting my puppy for my new truck? When the house is being loaded into that truck and being moved, that's when that's when the doggy happens. My next Rottweiler. My last Rottweiler was such a love bug. Odin was his name, and he would just. So anyway. So my friends, this has been a lovely evening. It's now 9:00, and my voice is a little raw. It's been a long, long week, and so I hope you guys are having a great week. Have a good weekend. Make sure you join us on Sunday, 4:00, over on Marcy's channel. If you have not subscribed to her yet, please jump over and subscribe to her now. It's a 4-hour love wave across the United States, starting with me and Marcy, then Dave Johnson from Moonride, Celtic, I can't get her name, Celtic Tarot Sheila, and then Kim Carey from Intuitive View. 4 hours, all the way from 4:00 Eastern time right till 8:00 Eastern time. And Marcy and I will be the Jerry Lewis of that telethon. We'll be there for most of it, if not all of it. You guys have a great night, and it's been an absolute joy talking to you and sharing tonight. And I'm going to go sit on my couch and take a break before tomorrow. So have a great night, and I'll see you. Live loving, everybody. See you. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining us at the Live Loving live stream. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and visit us at johnofnew.com.